What's up, Dirt Trax viewers? Luke here again from the Can-Am intro. And what you see in front of you is a direct comparison between two similar vehicles but very different vehicles. On your right here you have your Defender Max, and on the left you have Can-Am's new Defender Pro. And the only reason I have the Max here, it's not to tell you about it, this is a Lone Star Edition Max, but I only brought it to show some similarities between the two in terms of chassis design, but we'll talk about that in a minute. What we really came to see is this here, the Defender Pro. This is an XT HD10 model, and obviously the front of it, I mean, it doesn't take much to see that the front of it is just a Defender. So nothing really drastic about the front of it in terms, it's got a new, well, I guess it does have a facelift, so some new design in the front, looks pretty cool. Easy access to the rad to clean it, 64 inches wide. It's got these super nice 14-inch aluminum wheels. I think they're the best looking factory wheels ever made. Obviously you've got profile cab for integration of accessories. This one here comes with a roof. Inside is your standard Defender stuff. You know, you got your storage bin above, in front of the driver's steering wheel, with actually has USB outlets in there, which is cool. It's factory. 12 volt. This one has a diff lock in the rear, on the rear axle, which is great. 2x4, 4x4 obviously, comes with a winch. So yeah, there's a lot of really trick features on here. You know, your typical toolbox, removable storage bin here in front of the passenger. It's got a great passenger grab handle. And then we come around to this side, and you've got your typical flip-up seats with storage bin underneath. And if you remove the storage bin, which I'm not going to do right now, you have a huge space under here for whatever. Heck, you could put a small cow in there if you needed to. And then obviously, as all Defenders have, you got your center armrest cup holder, which is super dirty. Wasn't my fault. So there you go, pretty standard stuff. Now this model here, we're going to swing around again to the driver's side, has the smaller of Can-Am's gauge packages. It's a nice looking gauge. It's more sort of a utilitarian gauge. It gives you the information, it's readable, it's not flashy. The buttons are all here. On the upgraded 7.6 inch gauge, there's a little pad right here that has buttons on it, and it's really easy to use. So, you know, that's something to consider when you're buying these models, that this one doesn't have the full jam gauge, but it's still good, still looks good. It's a nice upgrade. And your modes, your drive modes are accessible through here. Work, eco, and eco off, or sport is how I would describe it. Yeah, so anyway, that's how the gauge works. Tilt steering, adjustable driver's seat, I think I mentioned. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's not why you come to see this one. You come to see this vehicle, and the reason you buy this vehicle is for this. This is a 6-foot box. It is tilting. It looks like a dump truck when you tilt it. It tilts up so high. And the reason that I brought the 4-seater to show, or to compare, is because this vehicle is built on the 4-seater platform. It just has the front of the 4-seater cab, and instead of having the rear of the 4-seater cab, it simply has a bed. And it is flippin' massive. I'm 6 feet tall and I can lay down in this thing. It's a really well thought out bed design. You've got link accessory mounting points all along the top of the rails. There's pre-drill areas here where if you want to mount link accessories on the bed, there's a whole bunch of spots where you just drill holes and bolt in your little link clips. You can put 1x3s in here if you want to build like a rack or something in the front. Look at all the link accessory mounts along the front. There's tons of them. Bucket circles. You can put 2x4s along the bed as dividers if you want. There's tie-down hooks you can see over here. There's 6 of them. 2 rear ones are kind of D-ring flip-ups, and then the front one is a solid mounted ring. The other thing that's cool about this unit, and I don't think it's going to work for me here, these latches are super heavy duty, is that these side rails are removable. And yeah, they have 2 little bolts that hold them in. You can take them out in less than a minute, and then they just slide backwards and pop off. So you'd have a complete 6 foot by 4.5 foot wide flat bed. And that's pretty cool. I mean, if you're loading, you know, the examples they give is like bales of hay or tractor tires or pallets or anything like that. It's super easy to load from the side when you have these off. There's lots of tie down points to secure your cargo. So it's really a neat design. And the good thing about it, I think the most important part maybe, is that when they're on, the sides are super sturdy. I mean, I can't even make them wiggle. So when you have them bolted down, they are as sturdy as a you know, solid mounted side panel, but you can pop them off. So that's really smart. And they work good. You got, look at all the cup holders in the tailgate. That's after a long day at work. You even got like a little ruler thing along the bottom of the tailgate for measuring the size of the fish you caught. Catch a shark in this thing. So that's the bed. The tailgate does come off just like your pickup truck. So you undo the little cables. This one's already undone here, and then it just pops out just like your pickup truck does. So that's cool. So you can literally have a complete flat deck. The only thing I would say is that because it doesn't have a one-hand latch, these latches are crazy sturdy. It is pretty, you know, you do have to use 2 hands to close it, but that's not a negative in my opinion. That's just something to understand. It's a different vehicle. The lights at the back actually look really cool when you're driving. The way they've done the lights, you obviously have your 2-inch hitch receiver. Now, an interesting fact we learned today is that because this is considered a sport utility vehicle, and they do, because it has more than 40 horsepower, the bed capacity must be limited at 1,000 pounds. That's a rule. If you want to go above 1,000 pounds, then the vehicle can't have more than 40 horsepower. Well, this one has the new HD10 motor that makes 82 horsepower. It makes, I think they claim it has the highest torque in its class. So can it hold more than 1,000 pounds back here? I'm not going to say officially yes or no. My assumption is that the answer is yes. You can verify that for yourself. What Can-Am will say is that when you put 1,000 pounds in the bed, it handles it like nothing. And we haven't tested that just yet, but we are going to be this afternoon loading some stuff in here to see what it's all about. Now the last thing I want to talk about here, obviously, when you've got this vehicle and you put a flat deck on the back, you can just visualize it by looking at it. The flat deck is flat. There's going to be all this space where the rear seats used to be, the rear passenger foot area was. That's all not used up by the bed. So what did Can-Am do? They took inspiration from a Greyhound bus and they put in a massive storage bin underneath the front of the bed. And I'm going to go to the other side because this is where you can really get an appreciation for it. It's a complete pass-through, and it goes all the way up under the front seats. It's huge. I think that was a super smart design. I think that's a really smart idea to utilize that space. It does have water sealing around the door edges. You know, whether or not it's watertight, I don't know, but it is sealed for, you know, a certain amount of water, so your stuff would stay relatively dry. But you can jam crap in there like nobody's business. I think it was really smart and a really useful area in there. I mean, heck, you could put the kids in there if they were being bad, right? Just kidding, or not. So there we go with the bed up, and I wanted to show you guys this because it's awesome. Come around this side here. Look at how high that is. It looks like a dump truck. But man, when you start to think about how much stuff you can do with this, how much stuff you can carry, and how versatile this box is, I mean, the possibilities really are quite endless. Access to the motor is like, you know, unrivaled here. This space is where the storage area is. And I mean, it just, this area, I don't know, it seems like there could be like little bins in here or something like that, storing your gloves. Anyway, one of the interesting things that Can-Am talked about with this vehicle, and everyone knows they have the 6x6, and the question was, why isn't this a 6x6? Well, at the end of the day, this is a 6x6. They have this vehicle with this box and the 3-seat cab configuration in a 6x6. So why build this? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, The 6x6 doesn't have unlocking rear diffs. So if you wanted to use this for anything on turf, the 6x6 is gonna wreck the turf for sure. This does have an unlocking rear diff. The other thing is that vehicles like this are oftentimes used in places where super crazy high traction isn't as important. You're not running through the mud. This is a work vehicle more so, designed to be used on job sites and things like that, around the yard, you know, that kind of stuff. That's why it's called the Pro. It's for professionals. And the 6x6 isn't necessary in those areas. Now, Can-Am claims this is one of the best riding side-by-sides they've ever made with a long wheelbase, but the rear being a single axle makes it more maneuverable. It allows them to use the unlocking diff, and I assume keeps costs down in a little bit of a way, you know, without having that extra axle and extra differential and all that junk. But just not a necessary thing to have the full 6 wheels just to get the bed. So that's pretty smart, because there's people who would want that bed, obviously there are, but don't necessarily need or want a 6x6, and Can-Am has given them exactly what they both need and want, with the addition of massive storage underneath the bed itself. So anyway, wanted to give you guys a little look at this vehicle. I think it's super cool. I haven't driven it yet. We're next on the list to drive these things, and we will bring you more information about them after the driving is done, but wanted to give you a quick peek into the Defender XT Pro and get your thoughts on it. So leave some comments down below, let us know what you think. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up. All those things help us out big time and keep you updated whenever we update new videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Dirt Trax TV. I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you click the like button and leave us a comment if you have any suggestions for future videos. Also, turn the bell on so you can be notified of our future updates. Most importantly, in my opinion, is make sure you get out and ride.